Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite Steam games in no particular order. Now obviously this is just my opinion, and my opinion only. So just because I don't mention a game that you love, that doesn't mean I hate it. Hell, I probably even like it. I just don't think it's one of the best. Thus the reason it wouldn't be on this list. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoy, and without any delay, let's dive right in. Coming up first is a game that most, if not all of you, are familiar with, Team Fortress 2. Now, this game and I might not be in the best of terms with each other right now, but I still gotta give credit where credit is due. This game has survived for 10 plus years, and it's still going decently. So, although I may have some personal gripes about the game, it is still one of those games that just stood strong for all these years. And honestly, not a lot of games can do that, but Team Fortress 2 has such a sturdy core that it can just live on. I still think this is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. The characters are lovely, maps are usually well built, and the concepts are more often than not fairly original. It's addicting and fun with a relatively nice community. And best part about it is it's entirely free. So, from my opinion, TF2, although I don't love it, still gets a solid thumbs up in my book. Now, I've already told you guys how I feel about this one in an older video of mine, but I simply couldn't leave it out of this list. I personally really enjoyed Ukulele, so much so that I kinda want there to be a sequel. Now, I know it's hip to shit on games that I actually enjoy, but I actually really enjoyed it. Of course, it's just a carbon copy of Banjo-Kazooie with slightly different textures, but it's still Banjo-Kazooie, which is a fun game. Obviously, I would prefer Banjo-Kazooie, but that game's not on Steam, and I don't feel like downloading an N64 emulator just to try and maybe play Banjo-Kazooie. It's so much easier just to buy Ukulele on Steam and experience a very similar type of game. Okay, I know what you're gonna say about this next one, but just hear me out, okay? Garfield Card. Hey, now I'm sure you're already scoffing. Why is this on here? Yeah, I know. I don't normally play racing games. It's basically Mario Kart times 2 on Steam. And of course, it stars everyone's favorite fat cat, Garfield, so who wouldn't want this game? It also has a unique lineup of maps, power-ups, and of course, a giant cast. There is tons and tons of replayability to this game, and I believe there is also online play. But I'll admit, I haven't really checked that out as much because I'm more of a local co-op type of player. I don't really like doing the whole online competitive thing. However, one major problem that I think we can all share with this game is the fact that the community could be heavily improved upon. I'd say more likely than not, half the people who played this game are just here to make fun of it, which I think really lowers the morale when you try to play with true Garfield fans like you and I. Come on, they just don't understand it. Other than that though, this game is truly a masterpiece. Now, what can I say about this game, other than how much of a masterpiece it is? Bad rats. I know, at a first glance this game may seem subpar to say the least, but from a non-critical standpoint, this game is one of the greats. Its cartoony nature makes it appealing to watch, visually, and its simple gameplay makes it easy to pick up. Again, it's one of those games people love to hate, but that's just because they don't get it. The cartoonish gore in Bad Rats is fun to watch, almost like that of Doom 2016, but I think we all know the better game. The puzzles in it are rather difficult and unique, so it can provide hours of thrilling gameplay. Honestly, I'm kinda shocked how this game isn't the rave anymore. I'd love to see how the community of this game would handle further installments to the series. But for right now, I guess we're just gonna have to hope and wait. So, this little unheard of gem is one of the greatest flight simulators I have ever seen. And I've actually flown planes before, so I know what I'm talking about. Miner Ultra Shooter. Now, this game is rather difficult, probably more so than Cuphead. You guys know Cuphead, right? That super overrated easy platformer that's the cat's pajamas with the kids nowadays. This game, unlike that one, is probably harder than Dark Souls, which I'll concede can be a tad bit challenging at times, but Dark Souls is nothing like Miner Ultra Shooter. This game is intensely difficult with some rather rewarding bonuses for completing the level, which I won't show you right now in case you don't want the game to be spoiled. Unfortunately, the graphics are not as good as games like Bad Rats, but since this game was made by one singular person, you gotta give props to him. I mean, these graphics are way better than anything I could ever do. I'm really rooting for this guy, and I'm super pumped for the sequel, which is set to release in 2021 called Minor Ultra Shooter 2: Uprising. Yet another underrated indie gem. This one is incredibly fun and addicting. It's honestly saddening how few people talk about this game, but it's still so good. Coffee Run is a mobile-inspired game with a unique art style. I know it's kinda cliche to see an indie game with a minimalistic style, but I think this one pulls it off really well. As for the gameplay, it's an endless runner that progressively increases in speed as you pick up cups of coffee. I honest to God can't think of a more original concept. It's kind of relieving to get a break from all these egotistical indie games like Shovel Knight and A Hat in Time. They think they're so artsy and that there's some philosophy to be learned, but like at the end of the day, I just want to have a fun, enjoyable game. Which, playing Coffee Run will remind you how fun it is to just play a wholesome game. So, I know I said this was in no particular order, but honestly, this is probably the best game on this list. Brief Karate Foolish. It's kinda like if Mortal Kombat was good. All the text and dialogue is in Japanese, which of course gives it that authentic fighting game style. I will admit that the characters are a little bit bland and generic, but really nowadays, how do you get a 100% unique character anymore? The fighting is tense and up close, right in your face, you know? I love it, it's so good, I can play this game for hours on end. Which, the best part about it is that there are no cheat moves, like in games like Street Fighter. You know, those moves that like, Hadouken, because those just give an unfair advantage over one player to the other. This game is incredibly realistic, which makes it highly enjoyable. People don't just shoot fireballs out of their hands, and this game knows that. But most importantly, this game is entirely free and on Steam right now. Seriously, go pick it up if you haven't played it. And that's my list for my favorite Steam games. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any games that you think should be on this list, make sure you let me know in the comments below. And as always, have a okay, do you get it? Do you get it? Because it's like, obviously there's really bad games. Get it? Like, they're some of my favorite, but they're actually really bad. Comedy, do you guys get? Wait, didn't I put TF2 on this?